And we are back for another episode.
Another episode.
Are you having the best time ever?
I am. And I am getting a kick out of this furry tail that's walking around the back.
There is a mysterious black cat.
A black fluffy tail moving around.
I got the tail here. It's so dark you can see it.
She won't jump on our lap.
I know.
But she wants to be here so bad.
That is our magical
everyone.
cat Poof.
How are you? We're back in the mystical lair.
We are in the lair. As you can see, we got Medusa, Edgar Allan Poe. People go, why do you have Medusa? None of my friends ask that, but I'm making up, like bugaboos who ask things like that. Isn't Medusa evil?
Do you know, I have never heard the phrase bugaboo.
You don't listen to Destiny's Child? There's your answer, everyone. She's like all about
oh my gosh,
the Virgo album. She's not about the Destiny's Child. Okay. Medusa back there, her eyes glow. I noticed that the other day you turned them on.
Yeah.
And then they're not on.
Right.
Is she not in the mood to have her eyes closed?
I forget to turn them on, but I will definitely turn it on.
Then you got Edgar Allan Poe on the other side.
Yeah.
With a raven on his head.
Yeah.
Which I love, is my favorite. Because it's Halloween year round for us.
I know. Remember the song that just came on recently and we both stopped and we were like, it's
what
Halloween.
Song? Oh, somebody's watching me.
And we both stopped. We were driving in the car and we're like, it's Halloween.
It's Halloween year round. In my mind, it's Halloween every single day.
So for those of you who have been following us for a while, we are definitely going to be jumping back into Midnight Madness.
Midnight Madness.
It will be coming back soon. And today's show is about Most Mystical Moments, Part 2, Du Toi. And we're very excited because I got my handy dandy list of all my mystical experiences written down here.
I got my list in here.
Nerd. Like a mystical nerd.
Mystical Nerd Productions. That's a good name for a production company.
Right. So the last time we did this, we decided to do 3 per person. So we took turns.
Okay.
And I marked off my 3 and I still have a bunch to go. So if you want to know what the long list of mystical experiences I have, go back to the episode.
You rattled off like 13 things last time.
Yeah, I actually ended up with 15 by the end of the show. I kept writing them. So
that's a lot of mystical experiences from one lifetime.
Do you want me to just pick, or do you want to pick on my list, or I should just be
responsible? I can't remember your list.
Okay, that's fine. I'm going to just pick.
Okay.
Do you want me to go first?
Why don't you just go like this? That's better.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pick first.
Okay. See, you're not doing it random.
I'm not.
You're actually
I'm not going to do it right. Yeah, I'm going to. Okay, hold on a second.
That's not how you.
Okay,
hold on a second.
I'm going to go with what is coming to me. That is like it's pulling me forward.
Like you have the words to tell the story.
Okay, so the first one that I would like to talk about is the TP experience when you were channeling in the desert that one time.
Okay. That one time. I've channeled many times.
But it was one specific time.
Okay. I'm going to lean back like you.
Okay, so I got to set the scene.
But I got to move my mic too. I'm going to lean back and chill while you tell this story. Yeah, we got
to chill because this is a chill experience. Okay, so we're in the desert. I forget if it was Joshua Tree or one of those deserts out there. And we were leading a shamanic journey, and we were staying at a place that had a giant teepee that can house, like, you
can have like 25-foot teepee.
Yeah, it was huge. You could have about 20 people in there. And we had been leading the shamanic plant medicine journey, and we were taking mushrooms, and we had about 20 people. And I think it was a weekend, and we were on the 3rd day. So we were all exhausted, but like been through everything you can imagine.
A lot of healing, a lot of channeling.
People were coming.
A lot of energy work.
On the other side,
a lot of nature.
Through.
We connected with nature. We did grounding work. We did sound healing. We did spiritual death and rebirth work. I remember this. Those weekends were incredible. What do we have, 30 people?
Yeah.
We even had a zip line at one of them.
Yeah. So I remember we were all just kind of in the last stages of like, what more can possibly happen at this point? Like we have gone through every dimension. We had been listening to you channel for hours. And also I think I channeled too. And it was just a full weekend. And so here we are at the very last circle, like group session where Riz is going to channel. And we were at the last day, last hour. We were finishing up thinking that nothing eventful is going to happen. We were just going to cruise into the evening and then we were done.
So imagine 30 people in a giant teepee in the woods. Well, not really woods, but in a clearing of trees in the high desert.
In the high desert. So Riz starts channeling, right? Well, normally, you just channel like Red Eagle
English.
Or Merlin or, Phineas, Quimby comes through, or just kind of like the regulars that come through.
Right. And I speak in English.
You speak in English. Well, this particular time, for some reason, it was the time that you were going to channel multiple guides that I have never even heard of, new ones, ancient ones with raspy old voices. Some were medicine men and women from different regions of the earth, like different languages in like other kind of timelines, I would say. Like,
they were tongues, but they were...
Yeah.
I couldn't identify it as any language I understood.
Like current. I felt like this was a very mystical experience going back into other realms, like maybe other civilizations,
yes,
or timelines or
this
something.
was like cavemen, and so sophisticated cavemen talk.
We knew, well, that was maybe one, but there was other ones. And so we knew something was going on because we were all like, oh my God. So we were looking at each other and we were just like, wow, all of our senses were alerted. Our hairs were standing on end.
The sage was burning.
We're all wrapped in blankets and we were looking at each other and it was, I think, getting dark. And,
oh yeah, it was dark. I remember.
And all of a sudden, Red Eagle comes through and he decides to be like the final like MC of the night. And he's going to just wrap it. He's going to wrap this up. And, I'm familiar with Red Eagle's channeling.
Yeah.
And this particular time, he decided to do something different. He decided that he was going to do a little magic trick on all of us. He was going to show us real magic.
Oh, that time. Okay. Yes. Now I remember. Go ahead. You guys got to hear this.
And so we were sitting there. And he was talking to us in such a way, and when you're journeying, it's like even more amplified. And he was talking in such a way that it was kind of like he was building up like a crescendo of energy through all of us. And he was just going in circles. And he was like,
what was he saying?
Talking to all of us. He was just talking about life and creation. You have to remember, this was like 9 years ago. But he was just talking about, like life and creation and the world and magic and where we are in it and what we believe in and the ones that don't believe and da-da-da-da. So he was just going and going. And we were just like feeling it, really in it. And then he goes, and I'm not going to remember exactly because it was a long time ago. But I remember his hands went in the air and he said, like, you don't think, I remember he said this, he goes, like, you don't believe that magic, like, because it's about people not believing in magic, basically, I think is the theme. And he was like, you don't believe that the wind can be controlled.
Right.
Not by him per se, like he's the magic man, but like.
No, I think it was him.
No, that's not what I meant. That's not, you misunderstood me. I'm saying, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying he's not saying it to get any glorification of himself.
Right.
Okay. So he's saying it like, you don't believe this exists. So I want to show you how this can like exist if you believe in it. And so he said, like, you can direct wind. And so he took his hand up in the air and he goes, everyone look, I think he said, everyone look up. And he took his hand and he went like this. And we all looked up. And we looked up and we saw the flap. There was the top of the flap started flapping.
And flew off.
And it was not only flying off, the trees started to like hit the teepee. And it started to like, the whole teepee started shaking at the top. The whole teepee started shaking.
Wow.
We were freaking, like,
yes.
We were stunned, silent. Because we were like, okay, did the wind just happen to do that? Like, did the wind just happen to do that?
No.
And we all started like looking around each other like, okay, wait a minute. We were like, wait.
But that wasn't the end of it.
No, it wasn't. And then as we were trying to just get our bearings and try to understand what is happening, and everything was like whipping around, like wind hitting so hard. All of a sudden he goes, and then it can stop. And then it stopped.
Everything stopped, guys.
That was
everything stopped.
Moment.
No wind.
I was like, okay, I get it. Like, okay, I get it.
Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes.
Magic is real. Like, this is ridiculous magic here.
Yes.
And that was a very big moment for all of us, especially you had some students there with you that have been working with us for a long time.
Sure.
And then myself. And then we had new people. And then we had people who didn't know anything about like spirituality and everything. It was a mixed kind of group.
I think one of the kids was with us. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God. I still can't get over that.
No
and
sounds, no crickets.
Yeah.
Wait, now I'm going. He did that twice. He did it at our house too.
He did it at the house at the ranch. He did the one with the crickets.
Okay.
He did the same thing with 30 people.
Well, let me tell you, that is one of my experiences.
Okay,
I'll
so
use that
now
as my number one. Segue into the circle of light.
We're very organized here.
Look, this is my ASL for the circle of light.
Okay.
Oh, I just noticed my hand is going around the candle behind me. The circle of light.
There you go.
Anyone knows ASL? Please teach me how to say the circle of light, and I will do it on camera. Okay, so we held the circle of light in our house. Maybe some of you have been there. Red Eagle Ranch, top of a 100-year-old house that was made from a kit. Uh-huh. We lived in that house for almost a decade on top of this hill. Looked like Mr. and Mrs. Weasley's house, but
100%.
But it was on steroids. It was even more than the Weasley's house. People would come from all over LA and Southern California. They would drive down from Santa Barbara, up from San Diego, every Tuesday and Thursday night in our house.
And from the deserts and some surrounding states.
We opened up our living room to total strangers.
Total strangers.
I cannot believe. I want to just stop you and go, did we actually just tell the public?
Yeah.
Come to our house.
Come on in.
You don't need to RSVP.
Nope.
You don't need to pay in advance.
It was like a real hippie experience. We were real hippies at that point.
The last of an ancient breed. No one has done it in LA anywhere since.
No,
because
I didn't know anybody who did it that way.
No one.
Tuesday nights at 7:00, doors are open.
And Thursdays.
However we can fit. How many people we can fit in the living room.
On our couches.
Couches.
Using our bathroom.
There was overflow rooms where we would put the laptop.
We had the yard. So imagine driving up. Guys, I got to set the mood for you. Some of you already know because you lived this. But those of our new friends out there in the world, imagine driving up this winding canyon road in Malibu. Malibu's not a crowded place. You're on a Tuesday night. You're driving up. The moon is coming out. There's canyons and hills. And there's this old Harry Potter house. And you pull in, there's all these cars lined up this mountain road because there was no parking, right? And then you walk in and there's this big old fireplace. And in front of it, I'm channeling. Everybody sits on the floor and on couches and on our stairs and then all the balcony, packed to the rafters, okay? And this house is already haunted to begin with.
I didn't even know if it
See, I got to set the stage. I even had a tree that our good friend Jerry built. Jerry, what's up? Giving you a high five, my brother. Jerry built for us this tree with like a wisteria, right?
He's a set designer, right?
He's a set designer. Purple leaves everywhere.
Inside the house.
Inside the house, going up to the ceiling.
Over the couches.
I know.
Starlight machine going.
Everything was like homemade.
Crystals everywhere.
Right. It's like this room.
We have a lot of photos of this.
Like look it up on
hundreds of photos.
Yeah, you'll see it.
I think it's online. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, now that I've set up the scene, we would keep the door open. There's no neighbors. We're on this hill, on this perch, about a mile down. Imagine the mountain. There was like a valley, and there was the ocean. You would see the moon. Okay. So the door is open, channeling, everybody's really quiet. You just hear Red Eagle's voice, and you would hear thousands of frogs.
Yeah.
Thousands, guys. And then Red Eagle said...
And crickets. They were together.
Yeah. The door's open so everybody can hear outside. And Red Eagle says one night, you can communicate with nature. If you're in the right frequency, they'll work with you. Something like that. I'm paraphrasing. Long story short, he says, watch. And he goes, let's all get quiet and ask them to stop. Everyone send this message and I will ask them. He did. All the frogs, all the crickets, thousands of them stopped. Imagine that on a moonlit night up in a canyon where they're so loud. And
everybody looked at each other in the room. They're like, did that just happen?
Yeah. So... actual 3D magic is real.
And then he said, and bring it back.
And now bring it back. And they started again.
And you know, he did that same thing on another desert retreat. We were inside and it was nighttime and we had frogs outside, and he did it with the frogs and crickets. That was like one of the earliest ones. That was the first time I heard it, but it was very dramatic.
That was one of the most mystical experiences I've ever had, and I wasn't even in my body.
While you're on that story, because it's shorter than mine, can you share? And then
I tried to make it longer with the description.
I know, but I want you to add this one, and then I'll go to mine.
Okay.
Add what happened that night when a woman was sitting on the couch. And she was talking to Red Eagle, and she said,
okay.
Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. Can I tell that story?
About the deer?
Yes. Okay, so.
Oh, my God.
I like how most of my mystical experiences, I'm not even in the body. It's Red Eagles I'm channeling during it. Okay. Okay, guys. So, sitting in a chair, living room was filled with people, and
her back is against the window.
Her back is against the window. So Red Eagle goes to her and says, "What's your name?" Which he always does. Everyone used to get personal messages at our circle, which no trance channel does, by the way. No one gives personal messages to 50 people, specific psychic messages. So I'm really glad we did that and offered that to people. Well, now we kind of do it here on Psychic Sundays. So gets to the woman. Red Eagle says, "What's your name?" That as is his tradition. And the woman says her name. And he says, "Well, what's your question?" And she says, "I want to know if my friend who died in her arms on one of the canyon roads in Malibu, right, had a message."
But do you remember how he...
Yeah, so what happened was he was driving.
Well, wait. Sorry.
What?
I have to correct.
What?
Okay, so they were driving, but they hit a deer.
They hit a deer.
But he didn't die that night.
No, he didn't.
Okay,
sorry,
he died
let me
later.
clarify. He died. He didn't die in the accident.
But it was a big moment when they hit this beautiful big buck deer.
Okay,
remember?
so that was one of the big things.
Yeah, so they got out of the car and they were like...
Yeah, so they were both. They put hands on the deer. Right, the deer's in the road, breathing heavy. It's dying. The deer crosses over. It was a deep bonding moment for this woman, and that guy dies like a month later.
Yes.
Okay, so she says, "Does he have any message for me?" Red Eagle says, "Well, turn around." She's sitting on a couch against the window.
The room is full of people.
Turn around to what? That's like asking me to turn around right now. She turns around, and as soon as she turns around, we hear like something hitting the window.
It wasn't
like that.
A knock.
It wasn't a knock, but like that, like a scratchy kind of thing. Turns around, there's a buck deer walked onto our property. Mind you,
onto our porch.
Mind you, the living room, the entire thing is like a lot of glass around it. It's an old wooden house, so it could have gone anywhere. Stands right behind her and takes his antlers and is scratching the glass behind her as she's asking the question.
And looks through the window.
Yeah.
And he said that phrase. What did he say again?
Red Eagle says? What did he say?
The one you just said.
He says, "Turn around."
Okay.
Yeah.
So he said, "Turn around." And I remember I was looking down at that very moment, and I remember looking up. I was in the back of the room, and I heard everybody's body shift over, and everybody went, "Oh my God!"
There was a gasp,
and it was a big buck deer with his big, huge antlers, and he was looking through our living room window. That has never happened before or since.
So he did this,
and it was right when she asked that question.
Yeah, the crazy thing is that it was when she asked the question. The other side note is, guys, yes, there are deers where we lived at that time, but they were not at all every day did you see a deer, and certainly not one that went into your backyard, had to go on the porch, had to be behind her right when she asked the question about her friend, who their big bonding experience was when the deer died.
I wish I'm going to call out into the universe that anybody who was at that circle to see this video
and drop us a note.
Please comment. I was there.
Yeah, you were there. Okay.
Oh my God.
So now your turn.
Wow. I need a moment.
I guess that counts as one for you too, though.
I did one, you did one, and now I'm going to do one.
But we shared that experience.
Oh, because I jumped in?
No, I'm saying we both were there.
Yeah, but I share.
Actually, we were both there for the first one too. Okay.
Yeah, so all right. That's an extra rule you put in there.
I like rules, you know.
I like
Virgo
rules
rising. More. You like rules?
Yeah. Can we just talk about something for a second that's a little segue?
I just wanted to ring the bell because everyone likes our bell. So we figured, why would you don't have to wait till Psychic Sundays to hear the bell. Let's put that right there.
I just wanted
there.
to mention something that was really exciting for me, because Erica, our friend and assistant, who's an astrologer, we were talking about Gordon Ramsay's, because we love Gordon Ramsay, and we were talking about his chart.
Right.
And we were blown away by his chart.
Right.
So he is a Scorpio sun.
Right.
He is a Gemini moon and a Virgo ascendant. Or a Virgo.
No, Gemini rising and a Virgo moon.
Virgo moon.
Yeah.
And then he had 3 other planets in Virgo.
And a Scorpio. He's all Scorpio and Virgo.
Yes.
Intensity.
In all
and
the placements.
Critique.
Yeah. And his North Node is in Taurus.
His North Node is Taurus, which is interesting.
So it's interesting. So we talked about it,
Yeah.
and she got a huge breakthrough from it, because she's a Virgo, Leo, Gemini. Gemini, Leo, I believe. Or no,
What's her Gemini?
I think it's her rising, isn't it? No. Or no, it's
she's a Virgo with Leo rising and a Cancer moon.
Cancer moon. And then she is North Node Gemini, sorry. That's where the Gemini is.
Oh, okay.
So she had a huge breakthrough, and she shared it with me, and I thought it was really fascinating, and I wanted to share it with you.
Okay.
So
this is not one of your most mystical experiences, though, is it?
No, I'm just taking a moment, because your last mystical experience was so intense. Like, I have to take a breather for a second, like, gather myself.
All right.
Okay, so she said that her whole thing in life is just like, she has all this energy pent up, and she's always looking for ways to express it, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes if she's doing one thing too long, she gets frustrated because she wants to be doing something else. So she always has that, what's it called, FOMO, like always wanting to do something that she
fear of missing out.
Right. So if she's doing yoga, she wants to be over here, and she's not writing her book, she wants to be at dance class. Okay. And so she was making that wrong. Okay. And then she got to see what Gordon did with his energy, because those signs together in that placement is so powerfully electric with so much pulsing energy.
Yeah.
And so she says, oh, he just opened the floodgates and let it all out.
Yeah.
And she goes, I've had it all wrong. I was trying to like organize it and move it around. She goes, I need to amp it up even more. I've been trying to release my energy because I feel like I have too much. And she said, Gordon did something about it.
He did.
He took it and amped it all to 10 on the dials, and he just let all of it out.
Well,
and
you're being way psychic right now, because I just finished a podcast, which will be out probably by the time you see this. It's going to be out maybe in 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. So it'll be out for you guys soon.
The Australian host.
Yeah.
From Australia.
This great guy named Rod. And it's a podcast called Untethered Consciousness. Anyway, you're being psychic because I brought up Gordon Ramsay as an example or a metaphor for what your spirit guide's purpose is. What is the purpose of the spirit guides? People say to guide your spirit. Well, yeah, okay, of course, but can we expound on that? So I said, spirit guides teach you how to use what you have. Mm-hmm. They teach you that what you have is not wrong. What you've experienced is not wrong. Mm-hmm. What you have in this very moment is enough. And he said, okay, can you expound on that? I said, if Gordon Ramsay, I got to lean in for this one. If Gordon Ramsay came to your kitchen right now with whatever is in your fridge and cupboards, he could make an amazing meal.
It's true.
And that's what your spirit guides teach you. They teach you how to do amazing things with what you've got right now. You don't need to go out and get it. It's about working with what you have. And what you have is blessed, divine, clear, and aligned, and purposeful, and valid. And that's what your spirit guides are here to do. So they teach you how to be Gordon Ramsay in the kitchen you have now.
And the whole point is we just have to let it out.
We have to let that inner Gordon Ramsay out?
Yeah.
Yeah. But don't try to scream like Gordon Ramsay, because only he's the master of that.
Yeah, nobody else can get away with that.
Because he's got love behind all of it.
It's so true.
Okay,
I'm ready for the next one. I know exactly what I'm going to do, which one I'm going to do. So I'm going to talk about when my dad crossed over.
Okay.
And where I was and what happened and how I knew and how it affected me. So Oh my God. I'm going to open this can of worms. Ah!
It's not a can of worms.
You always say that.
It's a treasure chest.
Okay, it's both. Okay. So here's what happened. So I'm 25. Mm-hmm. I was getting ready to go on a road trip. One of my, I had a previous relationship. So I was getting in the car, putting all the stuff in the car. Kids are in the car. They're waiting for me.
Yep.
And we're about to leave, pull out of the driveway. And all of a sudden, I realized I forgot something, and which was so symbolic. And I said, hold on. Everyone was in a good mood. It was a Sunday. We're excited. So I run back in the house and I open the doorknob. And as I opened the door, of course, walking through the threshold,
the portal.
As I walked in, it was almost like I hit an invisible wall at full speed. And it knocked me back. And I went, oh. And I went like this. I remember putting my head back. I remember my body moved weird. Like I literally hit a wall. And I stopped. And I remember I paused and I was like, what is that? And then I started going in like a slow motion kind of thing. Like really, like I wasn't running anymore. And I wasn't excited anymore. And all of a sudden, my whole energy went from a 10 down to like a 1 in a matter of seconds. And all of a sudden, I just was like walking through the house and I was like looking for the thing that I forgot. Mm-hmm. And I was like disoriented and I found the thing and I took forever. I couldn't even get out of the house. Mm-hmm. And they were waiting for me and they were like honking, like, come on. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And then I turn around, I come back in and listen to what I did. What? I walked to the car. And I opened the sliding door. It was a minivan. I opened the sliding door and I looked in and I said, guys, I can't go. I can't. You guys go ahead. You guys go ahead without me. And I said it like that. And I was like really like woozy. Huh. And everyone looked at me like I was insane.
Maybe they thought you were sick or something or.
So no, but there was zero.
Did you know why? Did you know anything yet?
No.
Or you just were like woozy.
Yeah.
Something knocked you back energetically. Something took you over.
Yeah. I had no idea.
Okay.
This is just play by play.
Okay.
So they were like, no, are you crazy? No. And I was like really defiant about it. And I said, no, you guys don't understand. Something's off. I can't. I can't go on this trip. And they actually started getting mad, which I didn't understand because I was like completely going into an altered state. So I didn't know why they were getting mad because I thought they would just be understanding and just go, yeah, of course, stay home. But I could see looking back that they didn't understand my behavior at all. So I said, okay, well, instead of sitting in the front seat, I said, if I go, I have to lay down in the back seat, like the third row. So I crawled back there and they were like, okay. Like they were all thinking that I was just acting so weird. Mm-hmm. So I went to the back and I laid down and I laid on my stomach and I had my head like on a little pillow and I absolutely fell asleep, 100% checked out, completely went out. And we arrived to wherever. I don't remember it. It was a blur. Everything was a blur. I don't remember how I got home. I don't remember anything. I don't remember the adventure. I don't remember anything. I don't know what I did. All I remember is I was back home and it was evening and I get a phone call. And it was my mom. And she said, because my mom is very graceful with words. So my sweet Aquarian mother. So she says, your dad is dead. That is how she said hello.
Wow.
What? I said, what? Wait, what do you mean? And I sat down and she says, he just died. He died. Like, and she was just freaking out. So then she talked about what happened and we tracked it back. So that's when he first left his body. Was when I went through the threshold. It was like 4:42 or what was it? No, it was a little earlier than that.
Wait, was this early? Because you said it was earlier in the day.
It was earlier in the day. I don't know why I said 4:42. I don't exactly remember the time.
But hours had passed and you tracked it back.
I get it. I remember. She called 4 hours later. That's what it was. Okay. I just remember the number 4.
And you tracked it back. That's when he died, when you felt that going through the doorway.
Yes.
That's amazing.
That's when he left his body.
Look, it is a portal, right?
Yeah.
Death and birth.
But that's the connection with parents and children and parents, right? So like,
I don't know. No, that's a connection between most empaths and their parents because
oh my God,
I did not have that feeling when my parents crossed over.
I didn't have that when my mom died.
But I didn't have it at
I was
all when
sleeping,
anyone
though.
passed on.
Yeah.
All the deaths that happened in my family
Yeah.
were complete surprises to me.
Right.
When people say to me as a medium, do you see those things happening? I have to say it's like this with most mediums that I know. You know, we can't really predict for ourselves. And it's kind of like a built-in safety valve that you don't use your gifts for the wrong reasons, like, you know, going to Vegas or doing the lottery. We never get those answers. Sometimes I get those answers for other people, though. There have been, one of my stories is, and you know these stories, is where we'll go to Vegas and we'll be there for a concert because we're not gamblers, but we'll walk through the casino because it's energy and fun, and you have to. And I would walk by and I would hear numbers. I would hear on the roulette wheel 17, and I would be walking by, and then the guy would say, and the winner is 17. The reason I know it won't work for me is because the first time that happened, I went to the table and tried to bet on what I thought was going to be, and I lost every time. So it doesn't work for me. So what they do is, for a medium, oftentimes we can't see the death because we're supposed to experience it just as a we are human, but I'm saying just as a normal person that is not a medium, that you have to go through the grief, you have to go through the growth process, you have to experience it. You're not supposed to not have the human experience of grief and pain. So that's why. But I think because you're an empath and you've done this with other people that you've gone through this when other people have died, and we've traced it back, guys.
Yeah.
So you guys are empaths.
Well,
this is part of that.
I wanted to say that I felt, even just telling the story right now, I was able to relive it and go back, and I could feel the energy is almost the same, the signature. I can just go back there. So I was going to ask you, when you tell a story that has a lot of emotion in it or excitement or something, when you retell a story, like right now, when you're telling stories, do you feel all the emotions of that moment, or do you feel when there's like an emotional story, or do you feel all the feelings?
Sometimes, but I don't feel it. I know I don't feel it the way you do.
Yeah.
There's only certain. Look, I'm a Leo. I'm a Scorpio moon. I feel things very intently. I am also a psychic, but I'm not really an empath. So I feel like my feelings are there when something I really, really care about. I will talk about it, and I'll let myself go there. It's very much under my control.
You know, empaths are always very curious, especially when you're figuring yourself out in the early days of understanding your empathic abilities. You're always very curious and interested why other people don't feel the things you're feeling, or you think that everybody should feel it. And I used to think that people who don't feel what I feel were callous and like cold.
You have any Cancer in you? Any Cancer?
Yeah.
Any Cancerian planets?
Yeah.
You do?
I do. I have one.
No,
My
it's
south node.
your south node, but see, you're here to step away from that.
Right. So I found out through watching you that I was saying to myself, my God, imagine if you were an empath trying to give psychic mediumship readings to people who were suffering, you would never get through it.
No, I would never get through it because I go through it so much in terms of
And you
tragic
have to be
stories.
removed. So I think your soul chose to be this way, that you weren't going to feel every little thing.
But I'm highly emotional,
Yeah.
meaning I have very strong emotions in my personal life. Mm-hmm. So in my professional life, I'm very much there to be the guide, the healer, the teacher, the support system. So I'm very sober and I also do a lot of jokes when I'm giving readings because the person's sad enough. I don't need to go there and be sadder with them. But oftentimes our loved ones on the other side do crack jokes. Mm-hmm. And I think I was saying this last episode. I said having a medium over your house who's good, who's giving you messages about the person who crossed, is the most painful fun you'll ever have.
Right.
Because you just can't get enough while the messages are coming, but it's killing you.
Right.
So that's
so do
always
you
been,
have a selection for your number 2?
I do. Shall I go there? Okay. So this one is kind of, you might call it dark, guys, because it was a little scary at first, but it had to do with sleep paralysis and night terrors. So one might call this a paranormal experience, but really it's all the same thing. It's all about the metaphysical. So I was getting these, before I actually discovered I was a full-fledged psychic medium, I was having these sleep paralysis, night terror attacks. Now, look, guys, you were tuned into a metaphysical show, a metamystical show. So doctors are always going to tell you it's because the brain was entered into a different brainwave state and so you couldn't move your arms. No. That's the maybe part of it that physically resulted from the spiritual reason. So there's a period between sleeping and waking where you can be very vulnerable unless you're not doing the right counter methods to always surround yourself with light before you sleep. Okay, especially if you're having an emotionally vulnerable period of your life, you're more susceptible to psychic attacks, more susceptible to energy that's negative, and you draw it in. So I teach people, that's why we have crystals, and that's why we have candles. They are support systems. More of that, and how to protect yourself in another, I'm about to say another issue, like we have a magazine. Okay, in another edition. Okay. So they were grabbing me. I was falling asleep, but grabbed me, pinned me down. I could feel the hands. There's a thing that they don't mention about the sleep paralysis. There was a voice in my ear trying to mumble stuff. And it was mumbling, by the way. It was like,
that's horrible. That is absolutely horrible.
Right against my ear.
Not
do you understand?
Okay.
And I just,
oh my God.
I remember I couldn't move the first time it happened. Second time, you know how it started? The covers moved while I was falling asleep. I was like, that's weird. I didn't kick my leg or anything. Then it lifted my leg up. I grabbed my leg and lifted it off straight up into the air and let it flop down. And I was like,
that's like the paranormal episodes.
This could be on a paranormal show.
Do you know I have felt ghost animals like cats or dogs walk across my legs, walk across the bed?
Oh, those are your old pets.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've felt that many times.
So check this out. I don't think I've really shared the details of this story before. So I think I'm going to say it was the fourth night because there were different experiences. It just kept happening night after night. I didn't know what to do. In a row.
Oh, God.
And the mumbling was happening.
This is definitely before me.
This was for a short period of time.
I mean, I know you've had experiences like that since I've been in your life, but not to this extent.
Oh, way before. This was in my 20s.
Yeah.
This happened when I had briefly moved back into a time to live with my dad. You know, those times where like you couldn't.
And that's an older house.
It was an old house.
Yeah.
That house was also had some spirits in it, but it got worse because after my mom died and we all moved out and my dad was there and he let all these tenants live there, the energy got funky. Nobody was doing anything. It was bad, man. And I had to stay there like at a period of my life where I needed that support. Anyway, I get to like the fifth or sixth night. Now I don't know what to do. I wasn't schooled in anything yet. But
well, that's when you were rocking out as a heavy metal
I'm a fighter,
musician.
but I'm a fighter, right? In the sense of in life, I'm a fighter. Like I'm not a violent person. That's not what I mean at all. I have nothing to do with that world. I just meant like, you know, I fight for my spirit, for my life, for my joy, and I was thinking, what do I do if it happens again tonight? So I had set it in my mind that I'm going to fight back.
Oh my God.
And now remember, you're paralyzed. You guys have experienced it. Please drop your comments below. Tell us about your sleep paralysis.
I'm sure people have experienced this.
Okay. So I said I'm not going to like run away in my mind or just wish that it was over. I'm going to kind of confront it. And I'm just going to say, well, what are you going to do? What do you want to throw down? What's going to happen? You want to take me? Let's go. Let's go down the rabbit hole. Let's go the other side. Let's go. Let's go in these dimensions.
Wow.
Let's go. Let's say you want to show me that darkest hell. Let's go.
I get it.
Right?
Yeah.
So it happened again. They like clockwork pinned me down. And so I'll never forget. In my mind, I was picturing grabbing the throat of someone. And it was sort of like I was as this thing was pinning me down. It wasn't choking me. It was just pinning me down. And mumbling again. And so my hands were down. I couldn't move them, but I could clench my hands.
You couldn't move your hands.
I couldn't move my arms, but I could move my hands. I could do like this, right? So I started clenching them as if I was squeezing this entity's throat.
Oh, okay.
And I was you move. I was like growling. I was trying to growl at it, and all these like primal sounds came out of me. And then something very interesting happened. I left my body. I immediately left my body. I was like astral projected into the room, and I was at my door of my bed. Now my body, my physical body's in the bed going through the sleep paralysis, but my astral body is now at the door to my bedroom, and the entity was also at the door to the bedroom, and I was slamming the door. Like imagine a person trying to get through a door, and I was pressing the door against its etheric body, and my etheric body was doing that. And I remember pushing it really hard, and then it went away. And never came back.
I think there's a spiritual lesson in there for you.
There was.
About finding your power in the spiritual realm.
There was, guys. It was where I found that I had to stand up for myself. And later on, when I went to Alex Murray, and I told him about it, Alex Murray was my great mentor and teacher. And you can find an interview with him here on this channel. Please watch it. He's the last of an ancient breed of the great psychic mediums and channels in the world. So he had said to me, oh, those were your spirit guides. And I said, no, these were dark energies. They were not my spirit guides. And he said, no, sometimes your spirit guides will do that to you because they're trying to get you to stand up for yourself. And I said, well, why don't they just tell me to stand up for myself? He goes, because telling you is not going to elicit the feeling in you. You have to face it. So they help create a scenario. I said, what, do they hire dark entities? He's like, you might say that. He's like, there's all sorts of deals that go on in the spirit world. And so they'll come and do that, scare you straight, and you will stand up for yourself in your energy. Now I don't battle, right? Because then I was battling. But that's the only thing I knew how to do. They weren't going to come in and say, do the positive light, surround yourself. No, I was in no place to do that. They had to speak to where I was at, which was the survivor from the Bronx.
You know what's really crazy?
It was in the Bronx, by the way.
And this is a little segue to something else. You are from the Bronx, and you're 6'3", you look like a tough guy.
Right.
Like you could take anybody out. And I would be afraid to like meet you in a dark alley if I was up to no good, for sure.
Right.
But you're the most peaceful, loving, never hurt a fly, never been in a fight. I've been in more fights.
I think it was a fight in third grade.
I've been in physical altercations and fights.
Yeah.
And you haven't. And people don't realize this. When they see you, it looks like you're an MMA fighter or something.
I don't need any information from that. That's the thing. See, I don't need any information from that type of experience. That's why we create experiences. You needed some information.
Yeah.
Whatever. Listen, I've had my share of. Sometimes I think I would have rather done that than some of the pain I've been through.
Situations where you've almost been jumped a few times.
Not almost. I grew up in the Bronx. You ran for your life a lot of the time.
I know.
You just had to be a really good runner. Right. That's it. I think I did all my mystical experiences. You got one more?
Oh, I got a lot. See, here's the thing. If I tell my Fresno story, I've told it so many times, I don't even know if I can say it again.
I think you should tell. I think that's a great way to top off tonight's session.
Is that my third one?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to lean back.
Oh my God. I've told this story so many times.
Y'all got to hear this one. We call this Missing Time.
Missing Time.
Missing Time with Oriah MIRZA.
So, I get the special voice?
Yeah, watch. Okay. Fresno, California. Oriah MIRZA and her cousin are driving down a road. It was a normal family trip, a normal summer's night. Except they were about to find out that it wasn't going to be so normal after all.
True that.
Yo, that was good, right?
That was good.
Okay,
so I was coming down on the 5 freeway from Oregon, heading south, and there's this long stretch of road. And then people who do this drive from Southern California to Oregon knows this stretch of the 5 freeway goes through Fresno. And there's a period of time, I would say it's about 2 or 3 hours. Have
I done this drive? I don't think we have. I've ever done it.
No, we've always taken the coast when we go.
Yeah, we take the PCH.
There's a stretch of highway that is so desolate. It just feels like there's nothing for just miles and hours. And you just are going through no man's land. You don't even know where you are. So I'm not surprised that if anything's going to happen, it will be there. So we were driving, and our goal was to drive through the night. And so we're young, and we were just like, we got the energy to do it. We would switch drivers and just drive through the night. So we were driving, and I always get the times wrong because, anyway. So it was I think it was like, okay, let me see what the time was exactly. So
it was nighttime, right?
Yeah, but the timing is important. So it was 2 a.m., but it was like it was more like, it was like 2:15.
Okay.
I'll correct it if I'm wrong as the story goes, because you'll see why.
Okay.
Okay, so it was like around 2:15. There's a cat here. And so we looked at the time. Oh, so we were driving and we saw the sign that said, "Welcome to Fresno." Just a regular freeway sign, "Welcome to Fresno." And that's our marker usually, because we know exactly from Fresno how much time to LA.
Okay.
So we're like, oh, okay, so we're in Fresno. And as we passed it, we looked at the time, because that's what you do, right? Kind of like to get an idea of where you're at. So I think it was around 2:15 a.m.
Okay.
Kept on going, music blasting, telling stories, laughing our asses off. It was really fun. So we kept going, driving. I don't know. It felt like 15 or 20 minutes went by. And we were laughing and everything. And then a sign went by. And you know, when you're driving, those long drives, you always want to pay attention kind of to the road signs and kind of know where you are when you're doing long road trips.
Yeah.
So another sign was coming up. So the sign came up and passed us. And it looked exactly like the sign we passed earlier. And we read it and it said, "Welcome to Fresno."
And you feel you've been driving 20 minutes.
Oh, easily. So we looked at the time again and it was, that's right. So then it was 2:20, right? So it was like time had passed like 5 minutes. But do you understand that we passed the sign again?
Yeah, that's really weird.
So it said, I'll just review. So it said, "Welcome to Fresno." We looked at the clock and it was like 2:15. We looked at the clock, marked it. We knew it was 2:15.
You drive for 20 minutes.
We drive for about 20 minutes, laughing. Then we see the sign again. The sign says,
2:20.
Welcome to Fresno again.
So the clock is only 5 minutes ahead.
Yes. We had been driving for like 20 minutes.
And you knew
easily.
because you listened to songs.
But that's not even the point. The point is that it said, "Welcome to Fresno."
Which is impossible.
Again.
It's impossible.
Impossible.
There's only one sign that says "Welcome."
So guess what happened to us? And every time I tell this part, I get goosebumps.
I know what happened. I know what happened.
I'm going to be I have to just get through this part really quick, because what happened to us afterwards was where we knew it was supernatural. So as we saw I got chills again. Oh my God, I can never tell this story. Okay. So as we saw the second sign that said, "Welcome to Fresno," I was driving and he was in the passenger side, and we stopped and we looked at each other and our faces went blank and all the blood rushed out of our face. And then guess what we did? Both of us at the same time, we turned away from looking at each other. We turned back to the road and stared in silence for a long time.
So you were abducted by aliens.
Like,
I mean, look, I'm saying that casually, but of course that's what happened.
I have so many chills going through me right now. You guys don't understand.
The only other thing that could have happened, other than you guys got abducted and dropped right there, was that you entered into a portal. There's a portal.
Right.
There.
Well, okay. Do you understand? We were laughing. Music is playing. Everything is high energy for hours.
Okay, so let me explain something to you.
But do you see how fast when we saw that second sign, we knew something, and everything changed in our system and our body immediately. We were different people.
Yes.
And we were silent and we were staring straight ahead, silent, because it's like our brain broke. Like we couldn't process what happened. Like there's no answers.
Right, because
so
there were no breaks. There wasn't the classic story of we were driving and we were having fun. We saw the "Welcome to Fresno" sign. Then we saw a light in the distance that we thought it was the moon, but it looked like it was a UFO. And then the next thing you know, we're back on the road.
Yeah,
you didn't even have that. They just grabbed you guys.
I know, but you're missing, like, every time I tell the story, you always miss this.
What did I miss?
When there's two signs that say the same thing, 20 minutes apart is impossible.
Well,
does
what
not
they
exist.
did was they abducted you guys. Okay, probably right after you saw that sign. You don't know.
And they didn't put us back right.
They just put you back maybe a mile back.
Kind of close enough.
5 minutes is about a mile back.
Right, like close enough.
Yes.
Yeah.
They were like, that's good enough.
That's good enough.
Beam them back down there.
Right.
I wonder if they take your whole car. Obviously they do. They take your whole car.
They have to take the whole car.
Wow.
Yeah, but then when we got silent, we were quiet for about an hour, easily. We didn't talk after that. We were like different people. We were just very quiet and looking straight ahead. No blood in our face.
From what I know, because this was your cousin, from what I know, you guys never talked about it again, right?
No.
Yeah.
Well, he went into Christianity. And I went.
He was like, I got to find God now.
I went into mysticism, and he went into Christianity, and we have not connected since. Because
that's great.
And I wonder if it was. No, I don't think it was from that experience.
No,
it's from other things, but
that was great. This is amazing.
Oh my God, telling these mystical stories, you guys, like, oh, my head, third eye.
Well, you guys should drop us what
me, like, I can barely take it.
We want to hear their mystical stories
these
too.
Moments.
Did you guys ever have missing time?
Yeah.
Did you ever have night terrors? Has anything magical happened like what we mentioned today where the frog stopped croaking?
Yeah.
That's really interesting to us, and we're going to talk about it too.
Did you say 3 stories?
I did.
You did?
Yeah. Frogs croaking.
But the deer story was a part of it.
The deer story is part of that, and this the night terrors.
Okay. See,
well, I got more.
You should write them down. That's why I write.
Got them written all in here, all in here, going all the way to the back of my head.
You guys, I can barely take it right now. I'm having so many experiences. I can't. Now I'm gonna have to go watch X-Files.
Yo, let's do it.
I have to.
Hey, guys, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for being here in our living room. We'll be back in a few days.
We'll do a part 3 and we'll get through the list.
All right.
We promise. Okay, see you next time. Bye.
Keep it surreal.